What if I told you that Mazda just made a decision that could completely transform your driving experience forever? Not just for this car, but for every car they make going forward. A decision so controversial that it has car enthusiasts around the world either celebrating or absolutely furious. And the craziest part? Most people won't even notice it until they're already behind the wheel. Right now, sitting in front of me in Frankfurt, is the brand new third-generation Mazda CX-5. Mazda's best-selling vehicle, their cash cow, the car that literally keeps the lights on at their headquarters. And they've made one change to this car that's either brilliant or completely insane. I'm honestly not sure which one yet, but by the time we finish this video together, you'll understand exactly why this single modification could change how you interact with cars for the rest of your life. But here's what's really interesting. On the surface, this looks like the same old CX-5. Same general shape, same overall vibe. Mazda could have played it completely safe and nobody would have blamed them. This SUV's been printing money for them for years. So why rock the boat? Why make such a radical change to something that's working perfectly? The answer to that question reveals something fascinating about where the entire automotive industry is headed. And whether you're planning to buy a CX-5 or not, this affects you. Because what Mazda just did here is going to influence every other car manufacturer on the planet. Mark my words. But I'm getting ahead of myself. First, let me show you what's actually new about this CX-5, because there's way more than meets the eye. You know what's funny? The first thing most people will say when they see this new CX-5 is that it looks exactly the same as the old one. And on the surface, they'd be right. The changes are subtle. Mazda didn't redesign the wheel here, but that's actually a smart move when you think about it. Why would you completely change the look of your most successful vehicle? That would be like Apple deciding to make the iPhone square. Sometimes the best strategy is to keep what works and improve what doesn't. And boy, have they improved things. This new CX-5 is bigger in literally every single dimension. Longer, wider, taller. But the most impressive improvement is in the boot space. We're talking 583 liters of storage now. That's 61 liters more than the previous generation. To put that in perspective, that's like gaining an extra large suitcase worth of space. For families who are constantly juggling school bags, sports equipment, groceries, and everything else life throws at you, that extra space is going to be a game changer. But here's something most reviewers won't tell you about boot space. It's not just about the total volume. It's about how that space is shaped and how easy to access it is. And Mazda has nailed both aspects here. Look at this loading area. There's virtually no lip to lift things over. Those side cubbies? Perfect for keeping smaller items from rolling around. And the rear seats fold down 40-20-40, which means you can still carry passengers while transporting long items. It's these kinds of practical details that separate good cars from great ones. The old CX-5 could fit 8 carry-on suitcases in the boot, same as a Honda CR-V, and one more than a Nissan Qashqai. With this extra space, we might be looking at matching the Volkswagen Tiguan's 9 suitcases. That might not sound like a big deal, but when you're trying to pack for a family holiday, every bit of space counts. Now let's talk about rear passenger space, because this is where things get really impressive. They've stretched the wheelbase by 115 millimeters. That might not sound like much, but in car terms, that's massive. It means your rear passengers get significantly more legroom. I'm sitting back here right now in the driver's normal position, and I've got loads of space. Even with the sunroof eating into headroom, you'd have to be seriously tall to feel cramped back here. And check this out. These rear doors open incredibly wide. I mean, look at this angle. Getting in and out is effortless, even for elderly passengers or anyone with mobility concerns. These are the kinds of details that matter in real-world use, but often get overlooked in the spec sheets. The rear seats themselves feel genuinely luxurious. Good cushioning, nice materials, ISOFIX mounts for child seats, and even a fold-down armrest with cup holders. Mazda has clearly spent time making sure this isn't just a bigger space, but a better space. Under the skin, this new CX-5 sits on a modified version of the previous car's platform. Mazda says they've put significant work into improving the suspension, steering, and overall refinement. Given that the old CX-5 was already pretty quiet and enjoyable to drive, having that as a starting point is promising. Sometimes evolution is better than revolution. But here's where things get interesting from a powertrain perspective. At launch, there's only one engine option, the 2.5-liter Skyactiv G, producing 141 horsepower. It's the same engine you'll find in the CX-30 and CX-3. Now, some people might see this as limiting, but I think it's actually quite smart. Mazda's focusing on getting one engine right rather than offering a confusing array of options that most people won't understand anyway. The interesting part is what's coming next. Mazda plans to update this engine after about a year, then follow up with a full hybrid version a year after that. This phased approach allows them to refine each step rather than rushing multiple powertrains to market simultaneously. It also means early adopters won't be stuck with outdated technology for long. Now, diesel fans might be disappointed to learn there's no diesel available and none planned for the future. But before you write off the CX-5, consider this. The petrol engine can still tow 2,000 kilograms. That's enough for most caravans, boats, or trailers that normal people actually use. And with fuel prices and environmental concerns, maybe moving away from diesel isn't as bad a thing as after all. If you absolutely must have a diesel Mazda SUV, there's always the CX-60. But here's the thing, this new CX-5 has grown so much that the size difference between it and the CX-60 is now minimal. The CX-60 still starts at just under 47,000 pounds, while this CX-5 is expected to come in around 10,000 pounds cheaper. That's a significant saving for what's essentially the same amount of space. But let's be honest about pricing. An expected starting price around 35,000 pounds makes this more expensive than the outgoing model and pricier than most family SUV rivals. Mazda's betting that buyers will pay more for what they see as a premium product. Whether that strategy works remains to be seen, but they're clearly positioning themselves as a cut above the mainstream competition. The trim structure follows Mazda's usual approach. Prime line is the entry point, then center line, exclusive line, and Tacoma at the top. Even the base model gets 17-inch alloy wheels, which is decent. Move up the range and you get 19-inch wheels that really fill out those wheel arches nicely. Safety equipment is comprehensive across the range, and Mazda is targeting a full 5-star Euro NCAP rating. Given their track record with safety, that's a realistic goal. Modern cars are incredibly safe, but it's still reassuring to know the manufacturer is taking it seriously. Now, here's where we get to that controversial change I mentioned at the start, the one that has car enthusiasts divided, the modification that could change how you interact with every car you drive from now on. For years, Mazda has been the holdout, the rebel, the manufacturer that refused to follow the crowd. While everyone else was rushing to eliminate physical controls in favor of touchscreens, Mazda stuck to their guns. They offered what they called a hybrid approach. You could use the touchscreen when stationary, but you also had a beautiful, tactile rotary dial on the center console for when you were driving. This wasn't just about being different for the sake of being different. This was about usability, about safety, about common sense. Think about how you use infotainment systems while driving. You're not looking at the screen, you're feeling for controls. With a rotary dial, you could easily cycle through menus, make selections, adjust settings, all without taking your eyes off the road. It was intuitive, it was safe, it worked. And now it's gone. That beautiful rotary dial that made Mazda interiors special? Eliminated. Those physical climate control buttons and dials that let you quickly adjust temperature and fan speed? Moved to the touchscreen. Everything that made Mazda's interface better than the competition has been sacrificed on the altar of modernity. I'm honestly not sure which one yet, but by the time we finish this video together, you'll understand exactly why this single modification could change how you interact with cars for the rest of your life.